everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Bollywood Wannabe. You know I have a penchant for weird games and for looking at weird-ass games in the Let's Look At series, almost to the point where I'm thinking, like, maybe I should make, like, a spin-off of the Let's Look At series, which is just, like, totally, like, batshit crazy games. And I don't mean that as a pejorative, I love these kind of games, but in any case, I'm getting off track already. This is Bollywood Wannabe, one of the weirdest-ass games I have played in a recent memory, at least. This is a rhythm-based platformer, but you might be thinking along something like Bit Trip Runner, or, I don't know, maybe Sideways New York has a rhythm element to it as well. This is not the case. This is almost like a timing-based rhythm minigame combined with very light platforming elements, and of course it does have a Bollywood theme as well. There is some independent Bhangra music in here, I believe I'm saying that correctly, and as someone who is basically culturally ignorant of this kind of music and this kind of culture, it's kind of interesting to get a little bit of exposure to it here. I'm not sure if it's being played up more than is realistic, but as someone, again, who is basically unfamiliar with this stuff entirely, it's kind of interesting to see it. I gotta say, some of the tracks in this are fucking banging, but in any case, we are gonna get started here. This is not available on Steam. As far as I know, it's only available standalone on the developer's website, but the basic premise of this game, as we get started here, is that we are filming a movie on a shoestring budget for a director who was basically thrown out of every studio, every Bollywood studio in India. And in doing so, we're basically just shooting footage in malls and like in public dinner parties and weddings and stuff like that, and just trying to make it work for ourselves. So that's the basic premise of the game. We have difficulties that we can choose from, so casual, normal, hardcore, get a life, which, you know, to me, it's just like, game, why are you insulting me? I'm trying to play you here. And we also have 1 button or 4 button. 4 button, it's a little bit weird. It's not like DDR in the sense that, like, arrows will come and you have to hit the right arrows. But basically you choose how to make your own choreography on the fly, which makes the game much easier than a lot of rhythm games that you might be expecting. So I always go with 4 button, and usually I can make it work by playing on hardcore as well. We have a suite of characters that we can choose from here as well. Apparently I don't have that many. I only have these 3 as well as the ninja. So you know what, why don't we do some ninja dancing here and get started. So as we load into the game here, I'll be able to explain just what the heck is going on with our interface. But as always, when I do rhythm games, I encourage you to be a little bit more lenient in your criticisms of my gameplay, because I'm talking, listening to the music, and trying to rap out some timing-based patterns at exactly the same time. So as we get started here, you can see the music credits up in the top right. As far as I know, these are all independent artists, although Centrosonic Sounds, who knows, maybe that's like the EMI of Southeast Asia. But in any case, we're gonna get going here. We're using WASD to move, and we're gonna have to get over some platforms eventually, but for the most part, we're just holding D to move left to right as we move through this environment. Now, you might be noticing at the bottom, there's all those pluses. What those are is basically cues that we need to hit. So again, it is a little bit like a DDR in the sense that we do have, like, a note highway or a dance highway coming at us, and our goal is to hit all of those notes appropriately. Although, the thing that's different, oh god, I'm botching this so hard. The thing that's different between like this and a DDR is that it doesn't matter what buttons we press. I'm using the arrow keys for my choreography, but it really doesn't matter what arrow keys I hit, except you do get more points if you mix it up a little bit. So, as you might be expecting by looking at that note highway at the bottom, by the way, despite the craziness going on at the top of the screen, I spend 99% of my time looking at the note highway, which I think is kind of a major flaw with this game. Whenever I look up, I'm always impressed by both the spectacle and the absurdity of what's going on. By the way, as we fill that meter to blue, we get people that follow us in our dance throughout the level. So our goal is to have as many people following us as possible. This will give us as many points as possible, and will ultimately contribute to getting a high score. But yes, I spend 99% of my time just looking at the very bottom of the screen and only seeing the actual, like, environments out of my peripheral vision. It kind of reminds me of, like, oh, we gotta get over this guy. Kind of reminds me of a game like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. You know, they always talked up, like, how awesome their landscapes were and stuff like that, like how awesome the venues were. But it was largely unnecessary because you, like, got complete tunnel vision on the note highway. That's basically the way I find myself playing this game as well. Keep in mind, this is the second hardest difficulty here. And the important thing to note is that with these held notes, you can do whatever you want during the middle of them, but it's during the, like, tight tapping notes, you can't actually jump in the middle of those. So that's what provides the difficulty with respect to the platforming elements. Whenever something gets in your way, you have to jump over it, but you also have to wait for the opportunity to get a held note in order to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be basically impossible for you. So far, I mean, I have here's the thing. This is not a traditional let's look at it in the sense like, am I recommending you buy this? Because we'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer to the end of the video. But this is more just a showcase of some weird-ass shit that I've been playing. This is what January has done to me. With such a dearth of new releases, I'm here playing a Bollywood-themed, rhythm-based platforming game and doing a video of it. So you know what, January? Fuck you. This isn't a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a game that certainly I never would have found otherwise. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's allowing me to broaden my horizons. By the way, I do like the changing environments here. But one of my sore spots about this game is that it just seems too damn easy. I mean, the game does advertise that, like, you can make your own choreography, and that's awesome, I guess. Except, I mean, you don't really make your own choreography. You just choose whether to hit right, up, down, or left. And I did that in order there so you can see what it is. Which is kind of an illusion of creating your own choreography. And it makes the game way too easy. Like, I haven't actually failed any levels. By the way, when we're in that spotlight, we have to hit 5 notes in a row. I realize this is the kind of game that's about score attacking, but even on the second hardest difficulty, after playing this game for like half an hour, I'm like, wow, this shit is super goddamn easy. I already have like an entire army-sized following of dancers here. And we're almost at the end of the level. You can see based on those meters, just above the note highway here, for lack of a better word. Does does Harmonix have note highway trademark? If so, I might have to pay them 45 cents for every usage of that term. But in any case, if you look above our note highway TM copyright belonging to Harmonix, you can see that we are basically at the end of the level, and the song is almost finished as well. And when the song is finished, but when the song is not finished, but we're at the end of the level, we enter the superstar mode. But sadly, there's no more notes for us to get. So otherwise, in superstar mode, you're able to generate a lot of points. So at the end of every level, you kind of get recap of what happened outside of the perspective of the movie. So from our perspective, we're filming an awesome dance scene in the middle of a charity ball. But from the perspective of other people, a young man was thrown out of the marine wildlife charity ball last night for causing a disturbance. He was dancing on the table. It was crazy, said one guest. I thought he was part of the entertainment, said another, according to the organizers. However, the ball was still a huge success. We raised more money than last year. Improper usage, but again, I digress. Said one happy organizer, we will finally be able to buy a panda or 5. All right. That's cool. So you can see my score here. I got 4 stars out of 5. That might actually be the highest score I've ever gotten. You can tell by our bonuses where we got those from. So followers give us a lot. I'm not even sure what the figure bonus is. Combo bonus gave us a lot. And we found some secrets as well, apparently. So we did fairly well. There are only 14 wrong beats, 21 okay beats, and 175 perfect beats. That's what I mean by saying this is pretty goddamn easy. We're going to quit back to the main menu here. And maybe just check out some other stuff that we've got going on. So we have scene selections where we can choose from what we've seen so far. I don't know how exactly long the game is. I've only played 3 levels. I played the 4th level once for just a little bit to test my recording to see if it would work. But it's a little bit more slow. It's like a, you know, it's not like a jai-ho. It's more like it's a ballad, basically, so it has a little bit less engaging for a video of this type, I would say. Although it fits thematically into the story. I'm just going to check out special features as well. Secrets, alternative endings, dialogues, high scores, images, videos. I don't know about videos. Why don't we check out some of the dialogues here so you can get a feel for the story. So that's our brave hero right there with his sweet, like, fish gill abs. I always love when animation does that. So let's look at the preamble for Happy Birthday, which was the mission that we just did, so you can get a feel for the story. Now, this is a scene of utmost importance, by the way. If you're one of those people that hates when I read on-screen text, prepare to be annoyed. Now is the scene of utmost importance. Romeo finally meets Juliet. Kendra, which is the girl here. You go ahead and prepare yourself. It's a ball, after all. You gotta look nice. We will shoot the balcony meeting scene as soon as the dancing scene is done. Now, Kumar, you enter the hotel where Juliet's birthday is being celebrated. Oh, they're doing a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, by the way, which is probably why this guy couldn't get any funding, because that idea has been done 35,000 times. You are, of course, not invited to the ball. You're hoping to meet a couple of cute girls there and have some fun. You go through the hotel and ballroom while dancing. Then you reach the balcony where Kendra will be waiting. Remember, you are the hot rich guy in town. Make sure you are the center of attention no matter what. No problem. By the way, it's a very nice hotel. I'm surprised they gave you permission to shoot the scene in here. Yes, permission. They should have added that in there. But yeah, that's the kind of feel for the dialogue that you're going to get. There are not really cutscenes in the traditional sense. It's all told through dialogue like that, despite this videos thing back here. I think this might be actually for taking videos of like your own gameplay, which strikes me as something that probably nobody in history is ever going to want to do. Let's go back to scene selections here, and we'll play Rivalries. And why don't we play it on Get a Life mode? I'm not going to show off one button because it just doesn't really matter, I feel. So we'll just play Get a Life. Maybe I'll be totally screwed here, who knows. And we'll play as this gentleman right here. And we're only going to play 2 songs over the course of this video for a number of reasons. One is there's not too much more to show off than what we've seen so far. I will say I kind of like the element of platforming that's involved. It starts out being a little superficial, like you got to jump on some stuff to progress. But then it gets a little bit more difficult. You got to jump on some moving stuff to progress, which can make things substantially more difficult. Fair Verona luxury apartments. You never would have thought this would be the video where I would have so many Shakespearean references. Oh well. So again, this is going to be a tricky part if I actually have to jump over here, because there's no way for me to jump and tap at the same time. I guess I can just walk. But I guess the thing that's going to make this difficult is not necessarily that there's a lot of like rhythm to deal with or not a lot of notes to hit, but it's going to be that these small dancing elements make me stop walking. I can still keep moving during the like longer held ones, but by stopping walking, that's going to make it very tight to see if I can actually make it to the end before the song runs out. Because if you don't make it to the end by the time the song runs out, I think you fail. I've never had it happen. I've got a lot of followers with me. I might just need to sprint towards the end, because right now... Okay, I gotta jump. Right now, I'm making pretty shitty progress overall. But luckily with these notes that are held, you can keep moving at the same time. Got a nice suite of followers around me. You can fall in the water here, so I'm going to try to avoid that. But again, it's the kind of thing where I kind of think that this interface doesn't work for a game like this, because the platforming element is cool and it's not intense. So, I mean, you're not going to get caught up too often on obstacles that are going to fuck you up. It's not like you're playing Super Mario the Lost levels or anything like that, you know? Like, there's not going to be a crazy jump where you have to hit and like land on a Koopa halfway through or anything like that. However, when you're focusing on the node highway, it's very difficult to focus on what is going on above at exactly the same time. So it's kind of like the platforming elements are frustrating. I'm almost like a dog or something where I only see movement. As long as my guy's moving, everything in my world is a-okay. But if he's not moving, then I'm like, okay, I'll glance up, I'll miss some notes. And maybe that's part of the difficulty, but it kind of feels like an artificial way to increase the difficulty. Generally speaking, I don't need my rhythm games kind of fluffy like this, although I do appreciate the kind of interesting and unusual aesthetic for a game in this genre. However, I don't necessarily think that the gameplay works. So we're going to talk about, overall, Bollywood Wannabe. What are the positives and negatives here? I really genuinely, and I'm not just saying this to try to be like, oh, I'm so culturally sensitive. I really genuinely think there's a lot of good music in this game. There's a lot of music that is not necessarily up my alley, but if you are into this kind of music, or you're looking to get into it, you know, maybe this is not a primer course in that or anything. I'm not suggesting you should buy this as like an introduction to Bollywood music textbook or anything like that, but it's interesting to get kind of a feel for music from another culture, and the tracks are enjoyable for the most part. The gameplay is fine. It's way too simplistic. If you've got any kind of aptitude in rhythm games at all, you are probably going to be bored out of your skull. Like, I just find it far too easy. I guess the main strength would be for people who want to create their own choreography and find that idea appealing, but again, that is kind of a superficial element as well. Basically, again, this is the hardest difficulty on 4 button instead of 1 button, and it's just, like, goddamn mindless, basically. I'm just mashing the keys in essentially a random cycle to make sure that I keep it varied so I can get maximum numbers of points, and I'm still killing it on this level. Like, this will probably be a 5-star performance. So gameplay-wise, I think it lacks a little bit. The other thing, and this is going to be the ultimate deal breaker, you might be watching this, maybe you're a fan of this kind of music, maybe you're a fan of rhythm games, and if those Venn diagrams overlap, which I kind of think is going to be unlikely for most people watching this video, but if those Venn diagrams do overlap, the thing that's probably going to be a deal breaker for most people is the fact that this is incredibly overpriced. I hate to say it, but there's no other way to basically come out and say it. You might be thinking, yeah, this is a good game for $5. It might be an interesting game for $5. Unfortunately, at $15, which is the asking price, this is substantially overpriced, and I worry that perhaps the developers are pricing themselves out of the market, essentially, because this game is not worth $15. It might be worth $5 if you're interested in this kind of thing, and I hate to, you know, nitpick over $5 or $10. Oh, get to the end, you fool! Okay, I think I made it. Yes, I'm in Superstar mode. Almost Science, Lost Tribe found. A mysterious tribe mentioned in several old documents but unseen for the last 100 years was found this week in the greenhouse of a local family. My father imported all these rare plants for the greenhouse, said a local girl. We're constantly finding new things in there. I'm totally a scientist, said another man. Who is this other man? All right, Legendary. That is a 5-star performance, I believe, although sometimes it's hard to tell if the stars are actually illuminated or if these ones are empty. But in any case, only 5 wrong beats, 13 okay beats, 266 perfect beats. Awesome. So we're going to go back to the main menu, and that's going to do it for this look at of Bollywood Wannabe. There's not too much in the way of special features or extra options as well. No multiplayer mode or anything like that. So overall, game is weird, and that's the primary reason I'm doing a video of it here. It's okay at best, and vastly overpriced. But hey, if you're interested in playing the game, there is a free demo. Or if you want to purchase it yourself, you know, caveat emptor is your decision. I will put a link in the video description to the website where you can find the demo as well as the full version of the game if you are interested in either. Overall, my too long didn't watch of this is that it's an interesting kind of gimmick, and it's neat to have a new kind of aesthetic in a game like this. However, $15 is far too expensive for gameplay that is shallow, not that varied, I guess I should say, and kind of lacks a little bit of depth. Not to mention, man, $15. I couldn't believe that when I saw that. I thought for sure it was going to be 10 at most. But in any case, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.